right, so back at the house with this thing. The goal is, at least if I can get it wiped down, which I've already done. I wiped it down with alcohol on like a microfiber just to kind of get whatever grease or whatever might be on it. Got that off. Now I'm about to hit it with a scuff pad. Get it as much as I can, the best I can. Sanding is annoying. And then I'm gonna hit it again with another wipe down of alcohol, and then after that just hit it with the black primer for now, because again I'm going to take it eventually to get sprayed, get Joey to do it. But the thing is, I am going to have to get it mounted since it's never been mounted before. These things don't come with pre-made holes to actually go in the car. I'm not sure why they didn't do it, but anyway, I guess because of slight imperfections and moldings. But yeah, this one doesn't have any holes in it at all. You have to put the holes in it in order to mount it. So I'm going to just primer it black so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb in a car. Get it all mocked up, get it sitting right, bolted on. Once that's done, then I'll go on and have Joey spray it, so that way when I put it back on the car, there's no guessing. I'm literally just bolting it on, done deal. So like I said, wiped it down with the microfiber, and going to hit it with the scuff pad and get the whole thing, nooks and crannies best I can, give it one more wipe down, and then hit it with the black primer, and that's that. So this time around, I wanted to make sure that I didn't make the same mistakes that I made in the past. Wanted to make sure the surface was as clean as possible, scuffed it so that way the paint could adhere. Judging by the video, you can't tell that it was actually pretty cool outside. I want to say probably 60, maybe 50s, but like I said, warmed the can up to try to get it to do the best that I could get it to do, and it did come out pretty well. It wasn't as grainy as the trunk lid that I did before. Plus, while doing this, I was able to find certain spots that there were either A, small micro imperfections, or just places where the casting itself wasn't, or the mold wasn't perfect, which is fine because I can work around that. Again, this is just temporary because it's going to be prepped in the future by somebody who really knows what they're doing, somebody other than me, for the final result. Alright, so that's done, scuffed it up, wiped it down with some acetone again. That's pretty much the best it is getting. This is just something rough just to get it done and not let it again stick out like a sore thumb. Usually I wouldn't really take all of these like extra steps depending, because in the past I didn't know what I know now. But I at least want to give it the best chance that it can get to stick. So I could have just sprayed it when I got it, and of course just sprayed over the dirt and all other crap. But the least I would have done even in the past was still wipe it down. But this process is definitely something new that I picked up as I got older. So this actually, I would have heated this up, but that would be a lot walking around with the heat gun. So I just actually heated up the paint itself. So this can is pretty warm. Not like scalding hot, but it's pretty warm to hopefully help the paint lay better. Usually if the surface is warm, or if the paint itself is at a decent temperature, that has worked for me. I am not a professional. I am literally a backyard, outdoor, or on the street. I'm trying to paint it to make it look nice, and I've gotten better results with warm stuff. So that's what I'm doing. Alright, so first layer of primer done, and what is it? It's like 40 degrees out here, so I mean it's not the most ideal situation, but tried to set myself up for success the best I could just to keep it moving. And that is pretty much the end of the first coat. So now I'm just going to let this dry, come back out while I still have sun, and see where I need to hit it at again, just to make sure it has full coverage, and just to hit it with a second coat. But we're definitely on the right path. This is sticking better than the last primer I did on the trunk lid, because again, I did very poor prep on the trunk lid on the Caprice. So I got to redo that to have it looking as clean as this. All right, so here it is mounted up. Pretty much still just a mock-up because it is not mounted yet. As you can tell looking over here, It's not even, the holes aren't drilled. I still gotta put those in where they should be so that this thing actually stays in where it's supposed to be. But I still wanted to get just a rough draft kind of what it would look like. And I mean, this is pretty much it. So came out just like I thought it would, because I've had this before. So I'm absolutely very happy. But it blends in better than just sticking out like a sore thumb being gray, even though it'll probably blend in with the old black primer that looks gray. I am going to re-primer a good portion, well, the whole car. I'll leave the hood alone because, you know, that's already got a gloss black on it. I'll leave the fender alone, and there are certain pieces that I am going to spray later. So next thing is I got to work on the mounting and get it all secure. All right, so back on this thing, trying to get the, what is that called? The bumper actually mounted with the bracket and the bolts. This is probably going to be the one that I'm worried about the most. I am kind of worried about the rear because there is bolts that I've never touched before that I have to get, and there's brackets, and I do have to drill holes in the rear bumper when it gets here. But fiberglass is fiberglass. I am worried about breaking that. Urethane is a lot more forgiving, but fiberglass is good for actually holding its form. So for starters, what I got to do is jack this thing back up. I'm probably going to just take the bumper cover off, take the fiberglass bumper off, then start doing the mock-up practice, probably use like a marker or something, and also take the brackets off the old bumper. So these next parts were a complete and total waste of my time. The thought process and the idea was there, but the execution was not going to work in this application. The fiberglass bumpers are something that was made from someone's mold. And the thing is, the amount of material that you pour onto the mold and try to fiberglass isn't that easily replicated unless you have a huge machine. But if you're doing the work yourself, for example, like hands-on places like Glass Tech that are actually in-house building their own things. Now, they've perfected it, but when it comes to other people that have produced these things, it's hard to get the same thing every time. So the issue that I ran into with this one is the fact that in the corners where I tried to use the factory brackets, they wouldn't fit because there was different thicknesses on each side. And on top of that, there was a lot more fiberglass and resin material in the corners, pushing the bracket further away from where it needed to be. It wasn't until after I did all of this and all of the mock-up to try to get it to fit on there exactly the way that the bracket was, and it just didn't work out. So at the end of the day, I just ended up just going straight through the fiberglass itself, and with that I wanted to be careful, number one, not to over tighten it, and two, I didn't want to miss and make too many holes, ruining the integrity of the surface. So it didn't go too bad. I figured out a better way, kidnapped my kid, had my kid out there help me out, and things started to look up from there. So I kind of figured this was going to happen. Where those dowels are at, it's horrible placement, not even close. This is way over on here. Same thing on the other side. It just did not work out. All right, so next morning I got it set up pretty well on this side, and the other side isn't bad either. The only thing I didn't do is put in the front bolt yet. I just have the backs lined up, and what I ended up doing was taking a Sharpie, literally a whole marker, sticking it up into the fender and then dropping the tip through the hole of the fender, so that way when I pull this up, the Sharpie made a mark on here where I needed to drill through and got the bolt in. So ran out of daylight into the night, had my kid help me with a flashlight, and I was able to get it so at least it's mounted with the bolts, and I'll move on to getting the rest of it done later on. Gotta call it quits for now. Got other things to work on. But overall, still happy. I have to fix the headlights because the way I have them now, I just put them up, tightened them, so that way the bumper would slide on and off easier. But I have to readjust that. And then over on this side is where I do have like a slight gap here that I have to fix. I need to probably drill the hole that's back here, make it a little bit further back, so that way it will line up flush right here. Okay, so making our way up to the rear, the trunk's pretty much horrendous. I have all kinds of B-body parts and probably some Kodiak parts like that. That belongs in the back of the Kodiak, but anyway, so try to, as much as it may pain you to do so, try to ignore this. And for starters, with getting this back bumper off, I know that there's bolts on pretty much the back side where they meet here, and there's going to be a couple that are in the trunk, and there's going to be a couple that's under the car. So what I'm going to do first is just remove both the taillights, get those out of the way, and then take a peek in here, move this stuff out of the way and see what I'm up against in here, and also get on the ground. It's going to be really tight. I probably should jack it up, but I'm really trying to avoid that if possible. But if I end up having to do triple the work because I'm being lazy and not jacking it up, then yeah. But all right, get back to you guys once I actually pull these bad boys out and see what happens. All right, so got some light on the situation, and these are the two bolts that are in here. I'm gonna try to touch them. I mean, you probably should see them, but anyway, you got this one at the top, this one at the bottom. If I had to guess, deep socket 10 should take care of it. So that's what I'm gonna go for. And I have the two on this side. There's something else down there, but that looks like a push pin that's just pushed through the hole. And everything else should be at the bottom, but we're gonna see. And then here you got a pretty good line of sight of, you can kind of see the backing, I guess, for that bolt. I'm trying to get the light where you guys can see it, but either way, you'll be able to see it when you start looking at it, I guess when you do the job, but it's right there. All right, so got these out, both sides, those two over there, and it wasn't a 10, it was actually an 11. And thank goodness, because this Milwaukee thing, been trying to check this out. What I mean check it out is actually put it in action and use it. It's the Insider. This thing has like the interchangeable tips, whether you want a 1/4 inch drive, 3/8, even like the 1/2 inch, it's all interchangeable, and then you just put your sockets on. So, and it has a nice reach, definitely came in handy. So now I'm gonna get on the underside, get a piece of cardboard, lay down, try to hopefully get my body, which is very large, in position to actually see it. And who knows, maybe in position to actually use the ratchet and get it out. Let's try. Okay, so not trying to get my hopes up, but here's the bottom side. We got all of those along this entire row. Just these clips, these push clips that I have to get out. So I gotta pop all of these bad boys out. But on the good side, there is our two bolts at the bottom, and they just come the opposite direction. So it's that one on the top, and then moving down is that one there on the bottom. So once I remove these two on both sides, that should put the sides of the bumper ready to come off. And like I said, so those two, and then clear these up all along the way, and I should be able to pull it out, but it's never that simple. So let's see. Okay, so ran into my first problem. Like I said, it wasn't going to go so smooth. That bottom bolt there is actually spinning with the nut. They're both spinning. So whatever is inside is broken loose. So now I have to figure that out. And this actually happened to the other guy whose video I watched. And the top one, I'm trying to get a good sight on that. That one is off. You can see it right there at the top. Got that nut off. So yeah, just got to figure out this bottom one with that spinning situation. And I would say I've ran wire in here for system, so that's the wire. This is actually down in kind of like, I want to say, the gully, or it's like the side pocket. If you stick your hand down in the trunk, you will be able to reach this side over here. Don't know if that's going to help me at all, because I don't think that there's like a hex head or anything on the other side. I think it's just like a flat rivet. So I don't know, but I'll figure something out. All right, looking under this thing is definitely I want to say a little discouraging, because I know I can do something about all of this rust and everything else. But again, don't have a place to do it. Been on the hunt, still on the hunt. Try not to give up, man. But anyway, this thing here is just how to pop these off. I have this. This is like a kit. I think it was like 3-piece from Walmart, Heart brand. But this is actually not what you're supposed to use. It just worked for me, kind of. I have the kit, and I bought it off of Amazon for like, I don't know, freaking 20 bucks. And it comes with all of the, I want to say, different types of plastic panel removal tools because the plastic doesn't like scar anything on door panels or interior, but there is one metal tool that comes in it that goes around this perfectly. It's for this, but I couldn't find it, so just going to use this, and I just put some pressure to try to squeeze it. Let me see. I just get pressure to try to squeeze it to fit in here, and then once it does, then I just use it literally like a crowbar, and this thing starts to come down. Boom, and that's how they all come out. All right, so last but not least, got to get these things off. It's a Phillips, but these are some form of like push clip too. But yeah, just going to get the Phillips to try to get these bad boys off, and that should be the last thing holding this bumper on. All right, so got these out of the top, and some of them did, I guess, what they were supposed to do, but one of them I did have to just pry out and barbarically remove it. But there's two more actually right there. 1 and 2. These work like they were supposed to. I just got to get up under it, you know, pop it out a little bit, the rivet. But the Phillips part came up, and now I know that that'll be the last thing for sure that I have to do. I'm not missing anything else. Took the license plate off, but you still have this flap here. Now up here, obviously you're not going to clear. When you come down, then you have this here that I'm not too sure will clear. I think I can wiggle it under, but we will see. Worst case scenario, just got to literally take these two out, which I may do just because, and should be good to go. All right, so time to pull this thing off. Hopefully doesn't give me too much trouble. I know for a fact I'm gonna have a lot of cleaning to do behind this thing, but oh well, that came off really smooth. And I do see that one that was stuck. It's still on the bracket itself, but we'll get to it. Ooh, ta-da! Mission accomplished. Okay, so got it off, and these are the brackets that are gonna have to come off. It's the metal ones behind the actual bumper. So this will separate, but from what I saw the guy do, he just drilled this plastic rivet out, and then that was pretty much what was, I guess, the main thing holding this bracket to the bumper. The rest of them are just like the front bumper, where it's these like, I wanna say like washers that slide down on and bite to hold it from backing out. So once I get this thing drilled out at the bottom, then I'm going to like get something in between, start prying, and start trying to get this washer up off of there. That'll free up this bracket and the bracket on the other side. And then also still going to keep this thing out here close to me for mock-up, because none of these holes are drilled into the new bumper. I believe these holes are there, but I don't think these are. I don't remember, but I'll have to go get the other bumper and we'll see from there. And then looking over here, it's not like a huge deal, but just me the way that I am, even though I kind of got to let it go because I don't have the resources to be that way anymore. I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit, just at least wipe down, you know, this plastic surface. I would love to hit this with a quick wire wheel and then spray it down with like a some sort of frame paint or coating, but I'll see what I'll do with the time that I have. All right, so it looks like I was mistaken here. Like even with these little ridges on here, I thought this is one of those washers that kind of hold down, but I just got this one off and that was not there. It just literally just slid out. So it might be a little bit of a challenge to get this to stay on while you try to fit it up to the body. But either way, this is the one for the passenger side rear, and the what's the name still in there too. I ended up just using the cutoff wheel and cut it, but now I still had that lip here. I tried to drill it out, and my drill bits suck. I need a new set. So I'm just going to figure out how to get the rest of this out. And this rivet is not plastic. It is metal. I thought it was plastic, but it is not. So same thing over here, this one. And matter of fact, let me just try to pop this out. Oh. All right, well, this made, oop, there it is, okay. And then this here So this one does have something on it. I'm not crazy. All right, so let me work on this, get this thing off, and try to find the other one, because it must have shot off on the ground. So that's like a 1 in a million shot. But all right, I'm gonna keep it pushing. All right, so got them both out. This is the little thingy that holds kind of the threads of that bracket to stay into the bumper. Now, both bumpers side by side. I'm just going to remove these now just so I don't have to worry about it later. I may or may not have to remove them, but I don't really need it. Hopefully it doesn't, it's not too hard to get this thing off. But as far as the holes go, yeah, none of them are drilled. So I'm just going to get my drill bits and start putting them inside of these holes to just get the diameter correct of what they're supposed to be. Even though these divots are kind of self-explanatory, I may just try that, and whichever one kind of fills the divot is the one that I'll drill through with. Same thing on the ends. I'm gonna have to get these and do the same thing the guy did. Mock up, just like this is here. Do the same thing, put it up in here, and kind of put pressure. And hopefully the pressure that I put with this will either A, protrude on this side, or I'm gonna have to figure out some other crafty way to drill these holes in the right spot. So started using a small wire wheel, nothing crazy, just to start knocking this off. And wild part is, I mean, there's definitely some rust going on, but this is way better than I thought it was going to be, because some of the black coating that came from the factory is still here. It's just some of the rust coming out from under it. So wire wheeled it down, even got up under there at the bottom. So now I'm just going to hit it with some roll bar chassis, and not going to be the greatest of jobs, I already know that, but just to get some sort of protection on the little bit of rust that is there on the surface of this bumper. And it's better than nothing, man. All right, so now as far as this bolt that's in here that came out of the car, this silverish end is the one that actually goes into the, I guess, sheet metal of the car, and that's the one that kept spinning on me. So now that I got it with a vice grip, not on the threads, I'm gonna just use a ratchet and take the nut off. All right, so this bad boy is drying, and while that's drying with the paint, I'm gonna get this back into the panel. And this is where it came from, and they're not really supposed to move, because you see that one up here still didn't move. I'm just gonna screw this back in where it should go, and I guess try to secure it as best I can, and that'll be the end. Okay, so drilling the holes out. I didn't take one over to this one. I just went with what was the same diameter as that, which was the biggest one that I had in my set. So went through both of these, which are circles. These are kind of squares, but I just went in and just went over to the sides a little bit to kind of ream it out some. And the other ones, good thing is, these are on the top, but when you walk it back here, you can see the divots for the other one. So I'm gonna follow these and drill them through. And it looks like they are kind of, I wanna say, ovaled a bit or oblonged. Same thing with those. So I'm just gonna drill these out up here. And the only ones left to do would be the 3. Is it 3? Yeah, there's 3. 1, 2, and 3, which I believe are going to be at least this size, which is the biggest one that I have. So I'm going to do that for those 3 at the bottom and figure out what size fits best through those holes out of the set. Okay, so going pretty well so far. This is like a 932, 932nd, I guess you'll call it. The size of that one, and that's the one that I use to drill in and kind of oblong them a bit. So those are done, and same for down here. These 3 are done. I used the 1/2 inch, which was the same as what I used up here to do these. And the only thing that does kind of suck, and I can already see it's going to be a problem, this one is actually torn, right? Is it this one? Yeah, this one has a tear right here. So it's only a matter of time before that comes over and messes things up. So I got to get a plastic welder at some point right there to try to melt it together. Hopefully that works. But yeah, so almost there. Now I think that all of these are done. I have to, again, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm gonna get a razor like the guy did. Hopefully I can find a brand new one in the house, because it'll cut easier to get this off. Or truthfully, I may just try to see if I can get it to fit with it on. I don't know. But the most important thing is these over here. And I get the feeling that they are not gonna be fun, but I'm gonna start trying to mock them up. All right, so got this one in. I'm gonna show you on the other side how I did it. Kind of a two-handed process. And it's not like the bumper is perfect, so I'm gonna have to kind of pull it over, because see, it's like overlapping here. But once I actually pull it over a bit, minimal effort, it's right over top. So I do want to drill that hole because it does kind of help hold the bottom of the bumper in place when it's on the body, so it can curve properly with the bracket. So I'm gonna need a smaller drill bit. This one is too big. What I did was I drilled the 9/32, same one that I did for these holes over here on this one. I used that in order to drill the holes for the screws, and I would say it's pretty good. It might, one size down, maybe like really hugging, barely getting it through, but snug. But the 9/32 I think is a good choice. So I gotta get a smaller one just to do down here, and probably, I don't know, nut, bolt, something, maybe a rivet. I have no idea where my rivet gun is. But I'm gonna show you on this side how I kinda just put it up under, use the pressure, and the pressure wasn't enough, at least for me, to leave a mark by pressing from the bottom and visualizing it up top. So it's kind of a two-handed process. I'm gonna try to show you. All right, so I took it under and tried to get the curve to fit as flat up against the side, the contour, as I can. And then once I got it in there, kind of pushed up against the curb, I used, and I know this is gonna have to move a bit, I kept pressure and pushed, and I can feel where it is. And when I feel where it is, I just take the drill itself. Hold on. Oh, you know what? That wasn't even in the right spot. That's better. That is better. So now I should be okay. It's kind of scary because you don't want to drill holes too many times, but looking at it here, this looks pretty good. So I'm going to do the middle one first. Right where I feel the pressure at is where I'm taking the drill bit to start a mark. Alrighty, now same thing for the top, and that should be it. All right, so here's what I tried to avoid. Ended up doing two holes. They're not connecting, so it's not like one oblong that's going to make this thing kind of poke out from the body line, which is what I'm afraid of. But it kind of is what it is if you decide to do stuff like this on your own. But I misjudged this one and made the mark. It made this hole, and I really think it should have been here. But so far now, I'm not too worried about it. Hopefully we're good to go. Again, I definitely want to get a smaller bit here. I'm just going to figure out what size that this hole is, grab it, and then make one that lines up. So I almost forgot these other ones. The other two that have to go here at the bottom. These two here are the ones that the bottom bolts that are in the sheet metal of the car come through to line up. So I got the bracket, and it looks like 3/8 is the best size here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bracket back in place. And then once I do, I'm actually going to flip the bumper so I can get in from the bottom side to try to at least start the hole and put an impression, and then I can finish it from this side. All right, so got the last two in at the bottom. They are a bit oblong. I did that on purpose because the angle that I was coming from down here with the drill, the body of the bumper, or the bumper itself, was kind of stopping me from getting a straight on at it. So it kind of came through at a bit of an angle. So that's why I went back in and just reamed it out to the side, just to give myself like that little 1/4 of an inch maybe, or less. So hopefully it's enough. So now at this point, I'm just going to take these pieces, get them on both ends, and start trying to test fit. All right, before I wrap up, I had to revisit these. If you can, the camera's probably not going to pick it up because I get too close, it's going to blur. But this is a E as an elephant 6 Torx. So female Torx, and it actually gets onto the end of these because these, I guess they figured you gotta have a way to drive them in. So it's actually a Torx head on here to help drive them in. And yeah, so I tightened it up. That's good to go, solid. Probably tighter than it was when I, you know, before I did it. But yeah, so now just gonna start getting this thing mocked up and hopefully minimal BS. All right, running out of time, man. So the wind actually blew you guys over. I might edit that out, I don't know. But yes, those exhaust cutouts at the bottom, those flanges have to be cut off because that's what's stopping me from getting it all the way on now. So this is where I'm stuck at. And every time I try to connect over here, because I already got one bolt loosely on that side, every time I try to connect over here, there's not enough, and when I try to pull it, it's because it's getting stuck at the bottom. So those little cutouts, the backing of them, they gotta go. Okay, so I'm an idiot. Don't do what I do. So I used this cutoff wheel to get those plastic humps out. And this is a 5-inch wheel. If I'd have been taking my time more and not worried about losing light, and plus kids in the house acting a fool and having to go in and check them every couple of minutes, probably wouldn't have made the mistake. But I just cut through my bumper. Look at that, fantastic. And no, I wish it was just a surface scratch, but no, it's all the way through. But whatever, I guess I'll figure it out somewhere down the line on how to repair that, because I actually have to take this off to get it painted eventually. And I hope that this can get fixed and it's not a huge deal, but we'll see. All right, so this is wild. I've been fighting this thing extra hard, and after you saw the amount that I removed for the exhaust cutout, that little bit that's still left on the end is still blocking me from getting flush onto the bumper. It's insane. I honestly don't even know why it's there per se, because even if you did have exhaust cutouts, the issue that you'll probably run into is the backing of them, that would be the top of the cutout, is still going to be in the way from hitting the bumper. So are you supposed to shave your bumper support? Don't know. But anyway, I think I'm out of time. It may look like I have a lot of light on camera, but plus crap's going haywire in the house with the kids and everything else. I have a training tomorrow, and yeah, it's just not in my favor, but I took a shot for it today anyway. So ultimately what has to happen is I have to take this bumper back off, and I have to shave all of those pieces down flat, then go to put it on, and I should be fine, because so far it is going on, at least for the most part, but it's starting to get tight again. So yeah. All right, well, back to it I go. I don't know if I'm gonna do it today or tomorrow. I'll see when I see you. All right, I'm out here in the dark like I shouldn't be. Dude, if this isn't down enough, I am so defeated. There it is, that one's down too. Use that tool. So if you look at this Milwaukee, this rotary tool, you're probably gonna get an idea what my face looks like right now. Definitely look like Drizzy trying to do blackface right now. This sucks. I'm gonna try to fit this one more time, man. One more time. Picking up from where we left off a couple days ago, and it is done. I am super done with it, but I'm still gonna have to do a few things. But either way, came out pretty nice. So here it is on the body. Everything fit like it's supposed to, all across the board. Didn't run into any issues as far as fitment. Once I chopped down those freaking exhaust thingies and got those braces down, then it went up pretty easy. So for starters, on my list of things that you absolutely want to either A, do, or B, avoid, that is absolutely one of them. There's no getting around it. You have to trim those down prior to trying to get this bumper on. And the thing is, if I would have done that earlier in the house, that would have made my time crunch, and of course with dealing with the kids and everything else, it would have made that time crunch that much better, because it would have went on, I want to say, probably the first time around, maybe second, worst case scenario. But anyway, you gotta cut those pieces off. Then the fitment on the side is pretty good. Will say there is kind of like a slight lip here But once again, that's probably a me thing, something that I can fix, and I'm not too worried about that right now. And then even down here, I'm not sure if that's because of my quarter panel or because of the actual bumper, but this is that spot where there's that tiny bolt at the bottom where the rivet was. I would have to push this in and then get a nut and bolt to replace that, to tuck this part back in. Other side is similar, a little better, not as much of a lip, but this side definitely tucks and tracks all across the board. Maybe a slight little bit up here, but I don't know if that's something that over time it'll relax, but we'll see. Because either way with these bumpers, the way that they are and they come in the packaging, once you undo it, and in my case, I wasn't in like the Florida sun, but if I was somewhere where I could have laid it out and let it do it the way it's supposed to, who knows, it maybe would have came out a little better. But I think it's pretty much as good as it's good as it's going to get for the time being. Then who knows, over time with I want to say the actual sun, that at the summer starting to roll around, spring's here, maybe it'll even relax more. But either way, it's something that has to be done, because if you're going to actually get this thing bodyworked and painted one day at some point, you're going to have to get through all the mock-up, getting it on the body, getting it to fit right. Once you're happy with it, then you would take it to get it prepped for paint. But yeah, man, overall, absolutely happy with the bumper. I'm gonna go and check out the front so that way you guys can see that too and see how that one came out. But once these pieces start slowly coming together, and I'll probably get another trunk lid, get that sprayed, obviously the wing, get that sprayed. I have to re-primer this thing. Of course it needs a paint job, but I'm gonna re-prime it for the time being so it's not gray anymore. And here's the front bumper, way better than with factory bumper, or at least to my opinion. Love the Euro bumper. Glad that everything worked out. I do have to fix the headlight on this side because I had to kind of bring them up and tighten it up so I could keep fitting the bumper on and off without hitting the headlights. And then even looking over here, I got it pretty much what I would call spot on as far as meeting this arch. I just have to work on that on the other side a bit, just to slide it forward a bit. So all I'm going to do for this side, this lip that is catching right here, I'm actually going to take the bolt out, and then I'm going to drill a hole right behind that bolt, and that should have it lined up with the fender line and get rid of this catching lip here. But all in all, we're on the right track. Things are moving with this thing. To me, it's getting more pleasing to the eye, which I want to say is what matters, but where I'm at kind of doesn't, because I'm still going to get harassed. But either way, things are moving forward. Definitely working out on a budget as far as being able to trade for things and get things going, and knowing somebody that can help you with something else or a favor, whatever the case may be. So now after these, I came across another opportunity. A guy I know, KP, he has multiple B bodies, and one of the B bodies that he's getting rid of is a 95. It's literally probably like cutting the last piece of turkey off a carcass, but it has floor pans, and you guys know mine are super jacked. So that's going to be the next thing. I'm going to get as much metal off this car structurally, as far as sheet metal for the floors and everything else, get as much of it off as I can, so that way I can move on to that next step and figure out who I'm going to pay the fortune to try to get it done, unless by some means I become a professional welder with a flux core and can do it myself. But all right, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys on the next one, man. Peace.